Hey, what's up guys, it's Apollo Uchiha here, back with a brand new story. This is what if Naruto the Pathless Sage, and it's a story written by a user named Kronos as a shadow. And before continuing this story, if you like the content of this channel, please subscribe to my channel. And before continuing this, I would like to tell you as well that I will give the guy a shout out that suggested uh, ideas yesterday in the end of this video, and it's going to be 55 to 1 hour long video. And yeah, that's pretty much it, and without further ado, let's continue our story. The soft calming ball of flame casted a humming, endearing glow over the small village. Shops were slowly coming out of their overnight slumber and opening up for businesses. Stalls were being set up on the streets, the vendors behind them already attempting to attract customers. Wind blew softly over the village, blowing away the heat waves and tried to calm the midsummer's heat. The peaceful face of the Hokage looking over their village completed the picture of serenity. Whoops of glee, shouts of joy and laughter tore through the perfect serenity. The villagers looked towards this new sound invasion to find the village menace running through the dirt roads at the breakneck speed, with men/women in billowing cloaks with colored masks covering their faces chasing him. This was one of the 5 great villages of the world, Konohagakure, the village hidden in the leaves. The current happening were a regularly occurring phenomenon. Konoha would wake every morning to serenity only to have it marred by the boisterous cackling of an orange-clad ninja wannabe. Link break. Naruto was a blonde-haired boy with a round, boyish face marred by 3 whiskers-like markings on each side of his face. He always wore an orange jumpsuit with white high necks and orange trousers that reached up to the top of his ankles. He would wrap up the bottom of his trousers in ninja wraps to keep it out of anything he might trip on. Evidently, the boy fashion sense was a living embodiment on the face of the planet. Naruto was the boy that was running through the town center, cackling like a mad scientist, with members of the Anbu Black Ops on his tails. His bright clothing, bright hair, and maddening laughter gave the ninjas perfect beacons in the crowd to track. During ducking into a alleyway that he knew led to his apartment, he left some of his ready-made traps in his wake as he darted towards his apartment. He was happy with his results of his newest prank today, especially so since he had managed to prank the village leader, the Hokage himself. As he ran towards his house, he thought of the perfect crime he just pulled. Flashback. Naruto was forced through the large oak door of the Hokage office. He was originally in a good mood to get to see the old man again, but his mood quickly deteriorated upon seeing the glare the Hokage was sending his way, and he was sure that the glare was meant for him, not the Anbu behind him. The Hokage sat behind a large mahogany desk littered with paperwork, quills, pens, pencils and ink bottles. The room itself was quite large, filled with showcases full of trophies and pictures of the old ninja that were honored in the village. One particular picture caught Naruto's attention. Despite feeling the Hokage glare drill a hole through the side of his head, he stared at the happy face of the 4th Hokage. The corner of his eyes and lips pulled up in a smile. His eyes closed in happiness and his blonde hair blowing softly in the wind. No matter how many times he came into the room, that one picture always managed to catch his attention. Ryuzen Sarutobi cleared his throat to catch Naruto's attention, and it had the desired effect. As he turned from the face of the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze, to the face of 3rd Hokage, Ryuzen Sarutobi, Naruto always thought it was really weird. But due to the death of the 4th a few years ago, the 3rd had to come out of the retirement to take up the position again. Alright, Naruto boy. 1. What prank did you pull this time? What damages did you cause and to what region? Sarutobi asked. The Anbu moved to answer his question, but he held up his hand. I want Naruto boy to answer. No one else interfere. Actually, just leave me alone with the boy. The Anbu members that were in the room standing behind Naruto and hidden in the shadow to guard the Hokage left the room in complete silence. Naruto walked up to the old man's desk. Well, Gigi, 2. I didn't actually do anything this time. The Anbu was trailing me for some reason that they got to me before I started painting the Hokage's face. Naruto replied in all honesty. He didn't do anything this time, so he didn't need to lie to get out of the trouble this time. Why would you even think of doing such a thing? The Hokage are respected people in our village, you know. Even you respected them, Naruto boy. So why would you do such a thing to defile their memory? Sarutobi asked his surrogate grandson. He was surprised to say the least everyone in the village respected the Hokage. But in the heart of Naruto, the Hokage had a special place. Because I want to show everyone I will be better than them. I will show them that I can surpass all the Hokages and be the best there is. Was Naruto's simple reply. It may not have been logical, but it was a reply nonetheless. Naruto boy, I can't ignore this. Your everyday pranking I can overlook, but the defilement of the village monument is unacceptable. Naruto slowly paled and started to calm down as he heard his surrogate grandfather speak. He started to think of a diabolical plan to get out of this situation. I will be asking Uruka to oversee your punishment. Every day I want you to go, but he got no further. Transformation no jutsu. Naruto held his hands in a tiger seal. Immediately a large amount of smoke poured out of where he stood, and out came a voluptuous blonde teenage girl with lush curvatures. The girl was naked, but smoke covered her privates. As soon as he caught the sight of this, the Hokage shot backwards with his head leading his body. The force of the fountain of blood that was now pouring out of his nose was too much for even the greatest of the village to handle. He watched the old man fall backwards for a second, but he wasted no time. Quickly as lightning, Naruto changed back to his normal self, grabbing a jutsu scroll that he had been eyeballing on the Hokage's desk for a while and jumping out of the open window. Recovering quickly from his twilight, he summoned the Anbu that were outside the room. Naruto boy ran off with one of my jutsu scrolls. I want you to go catch him and bring back the scroll, and Naruto boy unharmed. Hearing the warning in the Hokage's voice, the Anbu member dispersed from Sarutobi's office, but not before they caught the old man having an exhausted sigh. As soon as the Anbu left the room, Sarutobi went back to his paperwork. Flashback ends. Naruto laughed his happy carefree laugh as he stepped into the hallway, jutsu scroll in his hand. Even he was exhausted from trying to run away from Anbu Black Ops members. As seasoned as he was in the art of evasion, while the Anbu were the village elite and he was a simple academy student, running away from them, the dead last of the academy. Putting those sullen thoughts out of his mind, he decided to read the scroll and see if he could make heads or tails of a few complicated jutsus. As he opened the contents section, Naruto read the contents of the scroll out loud. Fire style, eternal black flames. Fire style, great giant phoenix flower. Fire style, meteor shower. Lightning style, thunderclap. Illusion style, soul binding. Sword style, crescent moon slash. All of those sounded like awesome and complicated jutsu, but what caught his attention was the last two jutsus on the contents page. Uzumaki ceiling style, chakra entrapment. Uzumaki bloodline, Azur's dragon's wrath. Note, only for the usage of those with Uzumaki blood from the Uzumaki clan of Uchiha, the village hidden in the tides. Naruto ran his finger over the last two jutsus, thinking of the village and clan he never knew, the kinsmen he had never met, the jutsu he had never learned, the sense of family and friendship he never had. Running out of the apartment and making for the training grounds, Naruto decided to train. 6 months later, at Ninja Academy, it was a pleasant, warm day today, warmer than normal for a winter day in Konoha. The Ninja Academy was abuzz with life. Students were running around everywhere trying to revise or practice their jutsu at the last second. Yes, this was the day for their graduation exam. Many of the students were wearing less clothes that day, favored to wear lighter clothes due to the warmer day. Many were wary, however, and brought heavier clothes along with them. Some left their heavier clothes with their parents in order to pick up later if they needed them. The parents tried to stay out of the way of the other students for the most part. They were staring and starting to form a ring around the academy. Parents were not allowed to see the actual exams, but they were more than welcome to come and pick up their children, along with their reports cards and their results. Naruto was one of the few students that felt like he didn't need to practice. The others that weren't practicing were doing so because they were confident they would pass. After all, the Konoha Academy exams weren't all that difficult, not compared to the other villages. Naruto, however, wasn't not practicing because he knew no matter what he did, he would be failed without a question. Of course, there was also no way he was going to be able to pull off the weak jutsu they were expected to perform. Iruka Umino came out of the front entrance of the academy wearing a normal Chunin uniform, a green long sleeve top, a green flake jacket along with green pants. He was wearing the Konoha forehead protector proudly and was one of the few people that understood where forehead protectors were meant to be worn. Konoha ninja had a habit of using their forehead protectors as other weird things. He had a brown clipboard in his hand. Alright, all participants of the graduation exams, please follow me. Iruka called and all the students including Naruto stopped whatever they were doing and started to follow Iruka. Iruka sensei, what are we doing for the exams? Sakura called out. She was one of the Sasuke fangirls. Pink haired, worried more about her looks than her skills, though she had a fair bit of book knowledge. You will know soon enough. I will explain once we're inside, Iruka answered cryptically, giving away nothing of the actual contents of the exam and the manner in which the exams were to be conducted, as if he meant to entice them into being curious about their examination. The class followed the Iruka to classroom. Iruka stopped in front of the door, opened it dramatically, and let everyone through. As soon as Naruto, the last student in line, went through the door, Iruka went in and locked the door behind him. This caused everyone to gasp. Sorry, but that had to be done. We don't want anyone outside interference while the exams are in progress, Iruka explained, trying to pacify those that were easily riled and succeeded easily. Okay, sorry to keep you all waiting. Please take a seat according to where your names are posted on the seats. Everyone followed the instruction without a fuss. Naruto ended up sitting sandwiched between Sakura, the crush of his short life, and Sasuke, his eternal arch nemesis. He didn't know whether to be happy about sitting next to Sakura or angry about sitting next to Sasuke. So he decided to shut up and be neither. First of all, I will be explaining the first part of exam to you guys. To those that are wondering, there are 5 parts in total within this exam. Some people looked at Iruka weirdly at this. They grew up hearing about the 4 parts of the exams, but what was this 5th part Iruka was speaking of? Many of you look confused as to what the 5th part may be. Well, I will explain. The first part of the exam is written test. At this, everyone bar Sasuke, who was too cool and emo, and Sakura, too intelligent and loving of written test, ground their displeasure. Iruka ignored the moans and grunts and forged ahead. The second part of the test will be a genjutsu test, the third part will be a taijutsu, and the fourth part will be a ninjutsu. These are all common tests that you all have known about and learned, but when your parents told you about the exams, right? The fifth part is a new test that Hokage himself has felt necessary to introduce. It will be a free test. What do you mean, a free test? Surprisingly enough, it was class cool boy Sasuke that spoke up. He never liked the unknown and had a near phobic fear of it. Meaning you are free to do whatever you want to impress the judges. Each judge will give you a marks out of 1000 based on how you execute whatever you are doing, including style points and the jutsu's power. One of the judges will be the Hokage himself, Iruka said, proudly looking at the odd face of the students. He handed out the papers for the written test and they began. Link break. Everyone had finished the first 4 parts of their exams and now they were waiting in line for the final part that would make or break their futures. Naruto knew he had done well in every part of the exam other than maybe the written test and the final jutsu of the ninjutsu test, the clone jutsu. But other than that, he was sure he was going to pass. This free test, this was his chance to shine. Each student was called out in alphabetic order according to their last names. Many did their clan signature jutsu and executed them well. Many showed off their traps and survival skills. However, nobody got a score in the 900s out of a single judge, and more people got scores in the 700s than not. Some even got a score of 600s. The students were allowed to watch as each of their peers were called out to the training grounds in front of the two village elders and the Hokage, and they performed their techniques. All the martials they needed were provided by the examiners. The students watched in silence and anticipation as the Rookie of the Year favorite Sasuke Uchiha was called out in the field. Uchiha Sasuke. Iruka called watching as Sasuke made his way into the center. Sasuke walked out with a grim face of determination. He asked for a simple wooden dummy and prepared to show off his best jutsu. Slowly going through the few seals, he finished on a tiger seal. Fire style, fireball jutsu, Sasuke called, jumping in the air. Taking a deep breath, he blew out a medium-sized fireball, aiming at the training dummy. As the fire engulfed the dummy and slowly died out, there was nothing left of the dummy but a stump that was burned to a crisp. 892, 899, 912. Sakura was cheering for Sasuke. Sasuke walked out of the clearing with an arrogant smirk on his face, having gotten the highest score of the day. As the Chunin cleared up the field behind him, Uzumaki Naruto, Iruka called. The student almost broke out in mid-thrift laughter as Naruto walked with a passive face. He saw the display Sasuke had put on a show. He saw how high the bar was, but he knew he could do better. He had jutsu that were far more powerful than a simple ball of fire. Well, Naruto, what do you need for your technique? Iruka asked impatiently while slightly wondering whether Naruto planned to do anything decent. Would it be possible for me to showcase too? I would show more of my arsenal. I only have enough chakra to do only two of these at a time. Naruto replied. The Hokage looked at him grim-faced. Naruto boy, if you can't do more than two of them, then I suggest you only do one of them. There's no need for you to go to the hospital with chakra exhaustion at your age, and for something so simple as the graduation exam, the Hokage warned. Naruto nodded in his understanding. I will take a katana and a 7-foot tall slender piece of metal with a diameter of a meter. Many eyed him suspiciously. What is he trying to pull? There's no way someone like him can cut through a piece of metal that thick. Heck, even I can't, Sasuke thought in astonishment. Despite his thoughts, he sensed there was something going on. No way Naruto Baka can cut through the piece of metal. There's no way anyone but my Sasuke-kun that can do that. Sakura shouted out loud, ignoring the looks of annoyance more from the males and the looks of agreement from the females. Naruto ignored everyone and everything around him as he took the katana in his hands and put it on his hip. Ever slower, he began to draw the sword in a majestic art, while he chanted what sounded like a poem. Azure flames freeze, and azure flames blaze. Azure phoenix cry, and azure phoenix smile. Azure dragons sing, and azure dragon wail. Slowly, as soon as the tip of the blade seemed to have left the sheath, he started to sheath the sword again. See? All he did was chant a poem, Sakura shouted, while others shouted in agreement. Nobody caught the hundreds of slashes that went into the metal post. Even the Hokage only saw blood that looked remotely akin to slashing. With an audible clunk, the sword was replaced in the sheath. The clunk of the metal exploded in other flames outlined in black. The flames engulfed all of the metal that was there, rising high into the afternoon sky as it burned through the atmosphere. No fragments of metal was left, no charred oil, no ashes, nothing. The metal post just burnt away into the air, leaving no evidence of what occurred. A perfect kill. Uzumaki, bloodline limit. Azure dragon's wrath. Naruto hummed lightly as he placed the sword in Iruka's arms. He walked away without looking at the score he got, already knowing the results, like a boss. 1,000. Sasuke looked on in outrage. Naruto glared at his favorite teacher. It wasn't usually the case. He always got on with Iruka, though sometimes Iruka was more than a bit annoying for Naruto, as he was the one that always caught Naruto after he played pranks. This time, however, Naruto had a legitimate reason to be angry at him. I'm telling you, Iruka-sensei, someone rigged this test. There's no way I didn't pass. I did half decent on the written test. I did okay on the genjutsu. I did better than most on taijutsu, and I only would say my ninjutsu was a borderline pass. As far as the free test goes, I had by far the highest score in the entire academy. So tell me, Iruka-sensei, how the hell I did not pass the graduation exam? Naruto hollered at Iruka for once, in more anger than he usually blessed Iruka with. Naruto, I can see that there is no reason for you to not have passed your exam. In fact, in my opinion, you should have passed with flying colors and praise, but it's not my opinion that counts here. I can't do anything about the marks you were given by the markers. It isn't my place to argue, Iruka pleaded, though he knew he wasn't going to get anywhere. Naruto could be really stubborn when he wanted to be. So you're telling me to take this lying down? I have taken a lot of nonsense from a lot of people in my life, but this has reached a record low. What kind of bullshit is this? Naruto screamed, but before Iruka could say anything, he whirled and stormed off. Oh boy, I get this feeling I am going to really regret this later on. Lord save us all. That boy can be really handful. Iruka muttered to himself. Before returning the markings paper, he was sent to mark for the younger students of the academy. Outside, Naruto found a familiar face waiting for him, leaning against the column that supported the roof. Seeing Naruto approach, he too approached towards him. Dope, I need to talk to you. Come with me for a bit. Sasuke commented, not bothering with a greeting or asking whether the other boy had time in his hand or not. Not now, Teme. I have things I need to take care of. If you need to talk about something, talk about it here and talk about it now. Naruto replied, also not caring for niceties. Fine, I'll tell you here. The jutsu used in the 5th test. Teach me how to do it. Sasuke said, taking on the same commanding tone again. Forget it. There's no way you could learn something like that in this lifetime, Naruto said with a smirk. Why not? If you no-name dope, the last of the academy can learn a jutsu like that, then why can't I, the rookie of the year, the heir of the Uchiha name, learn it? Besides, I have more powerful jutsu like that than you ever will. Sasuke shouted, not bothering to check if anyone else was in hearing range. Simple. Is your precious Uchiha brain too small for you to understand the concept of a bloodline limit? Then let me make it clear to you. Only an Uzumaki can learn this jutsu. Naruto hollered back, then proceeded to walk away from the shell-shocked Sasuke. Besides, I need to talk to the Hokage about something. I don't have time to be wasting on people as arrogant as you. When Naruto walked off calmly, leaving a dumbfounded Sasuke in a wake, where is this useless hyperactive dope that he was until a few days ago? Sasuke thought. Link break. Naruto was currently talking to Mizuki, one of the Chunins that was a teacher at the academy. He wasn't away as of yet. Why Mizuki wanted to talk to Naruto, but he said he wanted to discuss something important. Had it been someone other than one of his teachers, Naruto wouldn't have flipped him off and walked away, but alas, it was one of his teachers and he was forced to listen to him. Naruto, I'm sorry you didn't pass the graduation exam. I was one of the people that was in favor of you passing, along with Iruka, but the other teachers were for some reason completely and utterly against letting you pass. I'm afraid me and Iruka couldn't do anything about this situation. Mizuki started. Naruto was starting to have his doubts whether Mizuki was talking about anything remotely important, or if he was going to just drone on and on about how unfair life is. He needed to get to the Hokage so he could complain about Mizuki, and Mizuki here was currently getting in his way, frankly. But seeing as you the only person that didn't pass this year, I know of a special graduation exam that you can take. Hearing that, Naruto perked up. If Mizuki didn't have it before, he certainly had the boy attention now. It only becomes available if one member of the class doesn't pass the exam. All you have to do is prove your worth by taking the scroll of ceilings from the Hokage tower, run away with it and learn a jutsu. If you can do that, you pass the special graduation exam. Something told him that this was a trap, that this was stealing, that it would land him in a serious trouble. Going against his better judgment, Naruto took off to find a scroll of scrolling. Link break. Thumping sound was heard, like thump thump. He could hear his heartbeat in his ears, faster than it had ever been in his life. Though he didn't stick around to find out what happened. He hadn't left early enough to not hear the Hokage sending out the Anbu with a serious order. Bring the boy and the scroll back to me, both unharmed. I will deal with the thief personally. Those were the direct orders from the Hokage to the Anbu. Naruto's blood had ran cold as he heard the tone of the old man's voice. He knew he had done something wrong, so terribly wrong, but he couldn't go back now. His instinct told him from the very beginning that this was a trap, and once again his instincts were correct. Naruto didn't hang around long enough for the Anbu to find him before he took off. Completely masking his presence and his trail, he wouldn't be caught, not by the Anbu, not by Iruka, not by anyone. No matter what happened, he would stay hidden and complete his special graduation test. He sped through the forest, jumping from tree branch to tree branch as the sound of pursuing ninjas slowly became more and more distant. He was losing them. He was using his only talent, evasion. Coming to a small clearing ringed with tall trees within the forest, Naruto stopped to take a rest. His breath came in shallow, ragged pants. He ran as fast as his feet would carry him through the forest to get there, but he could move no more. Deciding to learn the jutsu now, rather than leaving it until later to do it, Naruto slowly unraveled the massive scroll. The scroll opened with a slight glow but no resistance. As Naruto sifted through the jutsu of jutsu, as they got harder to execute and more taxing to maintain, poring over complicated diagrams and puzzling explanations, his eyes ran over something that shook him to his soul. There on the soul of Skrilling was a handwritten expert next to a sealing array that made his eyes watery and his blood boil like molten fire. Dear Naruto, if you're reading this small piece of writing, I had little time to leave, and you are seeing the sealing array that has been placed on the scroll, then assume you have succeeded me as the 5th Hokage. First of all, I want to apologize for leaving you with something as heinous as the Kyuubi, knowing that the villagers would resent you for it. I am so sorry for leaving you with such a difficult life, for cursing you to hell on earth, but it had to be done. I had to do something to protect the village, and to only available option was to seal the Kyuubi away in a newborn child, so the chakra networks wouldn't be as developed as an adult's, so that the Kyuubi could be probably sealed. As you know, I had to give my life to make the seal, so I didn't have the liberty to experiment on as many babies as I wanted to. I had to get it right the first time, so the only baby I trusted to contain the Kyuubi was my own. I am sorry I had to do something so criminal, but it had to be done. Your chakra network was already developed for a baby who was just born, so I had to place a seal on you to make sure your chakra was accepting enough for the Kyuubi to be contained. The seal, however, had an adverse effect of sealing your potential away, as well as your bloodline that you had seemed to inherit. When you read this, Naruto, I want you to place your hand on the sealing array and pump a little of your chakra through your arm. No matter how old are you, I'm sure your chakra had already accepted the presence of the Kyuubi, and you're all ready to receive your true powers. Upon activation, the seal will always give you Ryujin Jaka, your grandfather's precious Nodachi. It's an Uzumaki clan heirloom. Wield it with honor. And always remember, me and your mother loved you. For however long we got to know you. Love, Minato Namikaze, 4th Hokage, your father. Gingerly placing his hand on the sealing array, he slowly pushed a little chakra into his hand. The seal did the rest. Rapidly, it drained Naruto's chakra completely, and he suddenly became aware of vicious presence in his body. Before he could think any further of this presence, the chakra was slammed back into his system, but the chakra was strengthened tenfold, causing his chakra networks to expand. He could feel the fire in his veins, the raw power that was coursing around him. He could feel his mind expanding, his senses improving and sharpening. Not long after, he collapsed from the stress and pain of having so much chakra pumped through his system. Naruto woke to the sound of shuffling feet. As soon as he remembered where he was, he sat bolt upright, not wanting to get sneaked up on by anyone. His eyes flew open as realization hit him. Looking around, he saw Iruka coming towards him. "Stay back! Don't come closer!" Naruto moaned in a hoarse tone. His throat felt like someone had used sandpaper to rub it clean. Not wanting to get caught, Naruto tried to stand up. "Easy there. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm here to pick you up. The Hokage wanted to see you." Iruka tried to soothe him, rather than alienate him any further, but didn't stop his forward advances. "He's lying to you," Naruto called out a sickly sweet voice. Naruto now stood upright, turned to see who the voice belonged to. Mizuki was standing on a branch on one of the trees that form a ring around the clearing. He only wants to get the scroll of sealing from you and use it for his own gains. Somehow, Naruto felt sharper, smarter, faster, and stronger. Through his body ached and complained, almost refusing to listen to him. Things looked clearer through his eyes. He could see chakra coming out of the bodies of the two ninjas close to him. He could hear both of their calm breathings. His brain worked faster than ever. No, you tricked me. You wanted to get the scroll. You are the one that wants to use it for your own good. Naruto muttered in deathly calm tone. His eyes shifted to Mizuki and Iruka. Take the scroll and give it to the Hokage. Roll it up, and no matter what you do, do not read a single word that is written in that excerpt. What are you doing, Naruto? Iruka asked, already rolling up the scroll, looking at Naruto with concern. I am going to take care of the traitor and come back to the Hokage Tower. I have something explaining to do to the old man. Naruto replied, already turning towards Mizuki and getting ready for the battle. Spotting a flash of yellow from his peripheral vision, he moved forward towards rather than Mizuki. You may be the demon brat. Mizuki started, only for Iruka to interrupt. No, stop it, Mizuki, it's forbidden. Iruka screamed, cutting off what Mizuki was going to say. Why not? He would learn about it someday. That he's the reincarnation of the demon. For the second time in less than a minute, Mizuki was interrupted. Save your breath. I already know. I was the one who the fourth Hokage sealed the Kyuubi in. There is nothing surprising about it, considering the treatment I received from the village. Naruto sighed slowly as he picked up a nodachi from the floor. It had appeared there once the seal was removed, as his father had promised. A lacquered nodachi patterned with azure flames. The hilt was a simple white, the pommel a stark silver. The sword was simple, but even an amateur could see the craftsmanship behind in the sword. It exuded power and menace. Iruka gasped upon hearing Naruto say this, while Mizuki only sighed. Iruka opened his mouth, then closed it only to open it again. Forget it, Iruka-sensei, just go. I don't mind one bit. I am going to quickly finish this small run off, and now come to catch me without you. Naruto was getting tired of waiting. Well, the demon, how do you plan to beat me? A chunin in that crumpled humanoid form of yours. Mizuki screamed, convinced that Naruto was the Kyuubi and not Naruto himself, and pulled out a Fuma Shuriken. Simple. One move, that's all I need. Naruto said, implying just how much stronger he was than a normal chunin. Azure Flame Freeze, Azure Flame Blaze, Azure Phoenix Cry, and Azure Phoenix Smile. Azure Dragon Sing, and Azure Dragon Veil. Suddenly Naruto wasn't in front of him anymore. One moment he was there, holding on to the nodachi, while the next he was gone, vanished into the thin air. Something was burning. He could smell it. It was something alive, fleshy. It smelled like burning meat. With horror he realized what was happening. He screamed as pain overtook his body and his body started to burn away. Standing on a branch of few trees behind where Mizuki was previously standing, Naruto muttered, Uzumaki bloodline limit. Azure Dragon's Wrath. Naruto was happy with his new katana. It seems to be attuned to the azure flames. He wasn't very happy with the way his body had reacted when he had used chakra. His chakra network burned as it was still recovering from the strain of the seal that had just been recently removed. I really like this jutsu, burning away the target until even the atoms don't remain. The heat that it gives off is ridiculous, but so is the amount of chakra that it consumes. Whoever invented this jutsu is a genius. Combined space-time ninjutsu with fire and wind manipulation, and the outtaking and outputting it through the sword. Took me 5 months to constant chakra exhaustion to even get the jutsu to a point where it can be used. I still need to master it though. Naruto's thoughts ran rampant as he shed through the forest to catch up with Iruka. Link break. Naruto awoke to a smell of disinfectant, sight of white sheets and curtains, and the sound of whispered conversation. He wasn't aware of he was or what happened after he killed Mizuki. Where am I? He thought. I'm telling you, Hiruzen, there is no need to put the cannon back in the academy just because of measly dead last. Danzo whispered the Sarutobi, trying not to wake the already wake Naruto. What's going on? Where am I? Naruto questioned, cutting into the conversation that the older males were having. He wasn't aware of it just yet, but they were talking about him. Naru boy, good to see you're awake. You are in the hospital. I admitted you here because of your chakra exhaustion and some minor damage to your chakra network. How are you feeling? Saratobi asked the boy curtly, not giving him any clues as that what the prior conversation was concerning. I feel fine, just a bit sore, hungry, and most of all thirsty. However, all things considered, I feel perfectly fine. How long has it been since my admission? To say Saratobi and Danzo were surprised were an understatement. Overnight, the boy's tone of voice had changed, along with his speech pattern. No longer did he speak in a friendly, bright tone, voice gone with a sloppy, almost trap-like speech pattern that Naruto would have used before. What's going on? The boy sounds more like a Hyuga than a random ninja that lived on the streets for half his life, Danzo thought in astonishment, while Saratobi thought in a similar line, but in much kinder fashion. Not long, you just slept overnight, Saratobi answered, ignoring the fish-like gasping Danzo was doing right now. I see. When will it be possible for me to take my leave? Also concerning what you were speaking of before, I intervened. What were you implying when you said the Genin were being sent back to the academy? Naruto said suspiciously, his second question being directed at Danzo. This time Danzo answered coldly before Saratobi had a chance to answer this question. Saratobi has decided that the Genin test recently passed should be sent back to the academy due to the corruption and favoritism amongst the teacher. This time he has decided all students will be monitored by a Jonin he trusts. You will be able to leave any time you want. You have been treated. Saratobi added, remembering the first question that he has asked. I see. I will take my leave after a short slumber. As for the other matter, I agree. I was the only one that failed the graduation exam, even though I was certain I was one of the top scoring students during the exam. I scored by far the highest of the fifth test, which was set to award the highest amount of marks towards the end of the result. This shows that there is at least a slight bit of corruption within the academy teachers, as well as the fact that one of the teachers of the graduation class was a traitor who I knew regretfully had to be killed. Naruto informed, much to the old man's shock and Danzo's chagrin. The Hokage only nodded at the information provided by Naruto, while the Warhawk only thought, "You foolish brat, of course I know there was corruption within the academy. I was the one that ordered them to fail you after all." Naruto frowned at the smirk that had unconsciously come to Danzo's face, but chose to ignore it. "Well, if you will excuse me, gentlemen, I have some sleep to catch up on." With that, Naruto was back under the covers and under the cover of sleep. Naruto felt himself floating in what he assumed was air. He could feel nothing, literally nothing, hear nothing, smell nothing, taste nothing, and see nothing. He was floating in a timeless black abyss. He could feel anything or any clothes on his body, so he showed he was naked. Where am I? Naruto thought, still half asleep. Thinking set in motion of chains of events. First was the fact that the black abyss morphed into something more substantial, a sewer, but there was not pungent smell. The color of the atmosphere slowly turned from black to a dull olive green. Where am I? And what am I doing here? What's happening? Naruto thought, slightly panicking. Suddenly he could feel an overwhelming evil presence near him. As he looked towards where he thought the presence coming from, he saw what looked to be a jail cell. The inside of the cell glowed a dull reddish orange. "You don't realize where you are, brat." A deep, gravelly voice seemed to call from the depths of the cell. The voice shook his core of his ever-living being. "You don't recognize who I am?" Something told Naruto he should be scared of what this thing was. He still didn't understand where he was or how he got here, but things made him forget all of those worries and focus on it. He didn't know if he should actually be scared of the thing, seeing as it seeing as it was behind large bars, but he decided to be wary. What are you?" Naruto called, not wanting to speak too much, lest to speak out of line and anger whatever it was that was holded by the bars. I am the Night Demon. I am known as the QB, the Demon Tailed Fox, brat. Your tenant, as you might know. The fox came in full view of Naruto now, his demonic coat glowing with power, his slit eye blazing, his entire gigantic form exuded menace, rage, greed, and all things negative in this world. Seeing the fox this close, Naruto wanted to run and hide like a little child. So, what do you want with me? Why do you bring me here? Well, I assume it was you that brought me here. Naruto fought the urge to run. He knew running would do him no good here. If the fox wanted to, he could come after Naruto and destroy him within a second. I wanted to speak with you, brat. It seems that the time has come for us to make a pact, so as to not get in each other's way. QB said, though in his mind he was thinking down a different line. Of course I want to make a pact with you. The eyes you unlocked with your potential because of the seal puts my life in jeopardy. I might not want to admit it, but I can't do anything against those eyes of his. Sure. Naruto forgot the previous fear that had for QB in his heart. He surprised the proud fox by smiling and walking right up to the giant rods that were keeping the QB captive. So what would make the pact with you initial? I assume you want to offer something, but you want something in return. Look, brat. I have been stuck inside you for the past 10 years. I might not want to admit it, but even I can see that I am not getting out of you anytime soon. At this, the fox grimaced, making him intimidating features look truly frightening. So I want to offer you my full cooperation. I will allow you to use my chakra at will, but in return I want your word that you won't enslave me with your eyes. Naruto didn't seem to be listening, though he was, and was climbing up the gate that kept the cell closed. Upon reaching the center, he once again surprised the QB, by this time by ripping off the seal that kept him captive. Brat, do you realize what you have done? You have set me, the nine-tailed fox, the QB, the greatest demon of the planet, free. You have set me free. The QB voice rumbled like thunder. The pressure with his presence multiplied tenfold. Link break. A nurse had came into Naruto's hospital room to change the sheets, assuming that Naruto had already vacated the room. So imagine her surprise when she saw a boxer-clad Naruto lying there looking peaceful. At first, before seeing Naruto, she was humming happily to herself. She enjoyed her job, helping out at hospital, helping the injured, the sick, the elderly. Even she, however, had to admit that doing the same chores day in and day out had gotten more and more tedious, boring even now. They felt like chores. Her breathing hitched in her throat. She saw Naruto lying there. She walked slowly towards him and tucked the sheets under one of her armpits to allow the other to be free. She intended to wake Naruto so she could change the sheets. She dropped the sheets and let out a blood-curdling scream as an orange rage-filled aura consumed the room. The doctor came running, wanting to see what happened for a nurse to have screamed like that. Seeing the state of the room, he did the most rational thing he could think of. Inform the Anbu and the Hokage that the demon is running rampant, he called. Link break. I know what I did, QB. Naruto was cut off by the QB. Call me Kurama, brat. That's my real name. Right. I know what you did, what I did, Kurama. But the fact that I released the seal father had placed on you doesn't mean that I am allowing you to do as you please. Naruto explained, not missing a beat, even as he referred to the fourth Hokage as his father. So you found out about the fourth being your father. I won't lie to you, brat. Even I held that man in great respect. At this cue, Kurama's eyes glazed over, as if reminiscing about the past. But what do you mean? You won't allow me to run rampant. Let me clarify, brat. You set me free. Keep your hair on. Sheesh. What am I doing is not allowing you to run about and do as you please, but offering you an extension to our pact. As he said this, Kurama's eyes lit up as if intrigued. I will allow you to live outside of this horrid place. Maybe even allow you to come out from the time to time. But you must promise me your complete allegiance. I expect you to listen to every word I say and I mean never attack the village or attempt to take over my consciousness. Kurama contemplated his words for a moment, thinking it over and tossing it around in his mind. He seemed interested in this deal. On one hand, I can't do absolutely anything I want, but in exchange, I would be as close to freedom as I could hope for. In essence, this is offering me good living conditions, and I will have my will to live on my own. Well, what do you think? Want to take me up on my offer? Naruto was never known for his patience, and even after removing the seal, his lack of patience showed no sign of improvement. I will take you up on your offer, brat. It's the best living conditions I have ever had within my Jinchuriki. Somehow, Kurama's tone of voice suddenly sounded lighter, as if he wasn't trying to kill everything in the general vicinity with just a voice anymore. Thanks, Kurama. Naruto smiled, and his smile got even wider when something clicked into a place in his mind. I will never be alone and familyless while you're still here. What are you trying to say, brat? Kurama had an inkling as to what his container was saying, but he did not want to jump to any conclusions. After all, the idea of having a human being calling a great demon such as he as a part of his family utterly ludicrous. Well, think about it. Throughout my entire life, you were the only one that was constantly there. It's like you were trying to fill up the void left behind by my parents. After all this, I think it would be an insult to not at least consider you a friend, if not family. Naruto said this with a smile on his face. For the first time in his long and arduous life, and not for the last, Kurama smiled. Not one of his menacing, I am about to demolish your life smiles, but one of his, I am actually really happy smiles. As what could only interpreted as an affectionate gesture from the fox. He placed his right forepaw on Naruto's hand, simulating a fatherly pat. Your parents would be proud of you, brat. Even after all this, he still called him a brat. As this is where I'm going to be leaving this part of, guys. I knew I said I will be making a longer version of the story, but trust me, I tried. But oh well, it's long enough. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And on to the shoutout video. And these are the guys who suggested me the ideas for the what ifs and weird things. Thank you for suggesting what if Naruto was a Senju. It will be done soon, my guy. Just wait for it. Dr. Robotnik Neo. What if the nine-tailed fox good half took over Naruto's mom's dead body and raised him? That's a good idea. I'm going to be implementing this as well pretty soon after one of my series is finished. And Not Shoe 86 and Minato Uchiha. Venkat Shwarma as Monica McCain, Austin McCormack, Omar Royce, John Ballard, Postal Sage. And these are the honorary mentions for today. I hope you like this part as well, and if you do, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And this is Apollo Uchiha, and I'm signing out. Peace.